Good morning, I'm Dr. George Springer. We're going to talk today about blood pressure. Blood pressure literally affects millions of people. And blood pressure, no one ever questions, why do I have high blood pressure? Most of the approach is to, here's a pill for your blood pressure to lower it. And we want to look at blood pressure from a different perspective, as much that blood pressure is an inflammatory condition. The vessels are not relaxing, and or there's inflammation that's not allowing them to relax. And that's the approach that we take on when we start looking at blood pressure. Inflammation, by definition, is an immune system issue. So immune system, 80% of it is in the gut. So we look at the digestive system first. We're looking for causes of inflammation that might be being triggered, whether it's going to be an overgrowth of yeast or bacteria or food allergies, which we sometimes ascribe to what's called leaky gut. Other sources of inflammation that affect the immune system are things like toxins and pesticides and heavy metals. And so these are things that have to be looked at. For each individual, the answer could be different. But knowing that these things cause inflammation, which affect the vascular system, is one of the key things that we have a tendency to really look at and want to get resolved. In addition, hormones can play a role. Insulin, for example, when insulin is not working correctly, it's inflammatory. So sometimes we have a hormonal connection with the inflammation that we have to evaluate. In addition, cortisol plays a role. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and it upregulates a part of your nervous system called the sympathetic nervous system, which causes your vessels to be tighter and not relax, and adding to the blood pressure. So when you start talking about causality of blood pressure, it's a much bigger fish to fry. There's much more to deal with, and you look at all these different aspects, and that's what we do here at LifeWorks to begin to unravel why a person has issues with high blood pressure. Blood pressure also can cause by obviously increased weight. People know when they weigh more, there's more pressure to push through, and so that plays a big role. So helping with weight reduction is oftentimes very important. And then also the idea of stress. We talked about cortisol a little bit ago, but stress itself in general, cortisol is the agent of stress. But when we're worrying about things on a continual basis, it tends to transfer into the nervous system, into the hormonal system. And so stress itself plays a huge role. So finding ways for stress relief and ways to modulate stress plays a huge role. We'll talk about stress more in a little bit later tape.